Welcome back, lovers of the macabre, to another episode of Perusing the Night Gallery, the series where we explore all the dark and sometimes questionable corners of Rod Serling's 70s horror anthology TV show Night Gallery, which ran for 3 seasons on NBC from 1970 to 1973. In this episode, we're examining the portraits of Season 1, Episode 4, consisting of the stories Make Me Laugh, which is allegedly an iconic director's return and final visit to the gallery, before becoming a huge big shot, and Clean Kills and Other Trophies. The episode aired on January 6, 1971. Make me laugh. Make me laugh. Doesn't that sound so sinister? Make me laugh. Before we get started, I'm the writer Adriana Oyster, most people just call me Oysta, and thank you for visiting my channel, and joining me on this trip through an underrated horror show. And don't forget to click on those like and subscribe buttons so you'll never miss a channel update from me. Now on with the show!
On display this evening, a pastiche of painting from Oddball Land. The poet Sir Max Beerbohm reflected that no one ever died of laughter. Object of brush and palette, the rebuttal. The clown is Jackie Slater, his occupation, a comedian. His aspirations to collect funny bones and hang them on the walls of his life to hide the cracked plaster and yellowed wallpaper that is part of the interior decoration of failure. Poor Jackie Slater. A bad joke told in a foreign language in an empty hall. The comic unable to coax laughter. The painting is called Make Me Laugh, and this lightless limbo is called the Night Gallery.
Oh, don't mind us, Rod, sweetie. Just take as much time as you need to get over here and start the episode. Whose decision was it to make him walk over to the portraits for a solid 10 seconds? It's cool, though, that he's walking from the previous episode's portraits. I'll give him that. I also like this story's portrait. It's a cute little depressed clown. Like me. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of. The story Make Me Laugh was written by Rod Serling and directed by a little-known director named Steven Spielberg. Sorry, I had to do that one more time. I don't think I have to go through all the films directed by Spielberg, his most recent at the time of this recording being Disclosure Day, but this is his second and final time directing a segment for the Night Gallery. His first was also his television directorial debut of the segment Eyes from the Pilot, where he worked with the legendary Joan Crawford. But I made a whole video about that already. Go check it out. Actually, when I say this segment was directed by Spielberg, I really should include a question mark. Because when I was researching the tea for this episode, I stumbled upon some info from IMDb stating that in a 2023 interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, RIP, Spielberg spoke about this exact segment and revealed that the studio wasn't happy with how he directed it. So they replaced him and had the segment redone by a different director. But then why is Spielberg still the credited director? And if he's not the director, then who really is? You know damn well they just kept Steven Spielberg on there because they knew, well no, because he wasn't even like super famous then. So his big giant breakthrough was Jaws in 1975, and this is 1971. This segment features comedian, actor, writer, and producer Godfrey Cambridge as the failing comedian Jackie Slater. Most known for films like 1967's The President's Analysis, 1970's Cotton Comes to Harlem, also 1970 Watermelon Man, and 1972's Comeback Charleston Blue. Watermelon Man is a funny, great film. I saw it at a nearby historic movie theater 2 years ago. Him calling his coworkers sluts like this is something that I just can't get out of my brain.
Sluts, sluts, all of you sluts!
He was also in 1972's Son of Blob, originally titled Beware the Blob, which I just learned was directed by Larry Hagman, who appeared in the first episode of Night Gallery and the second story, The Housekeeper. I'm constantly learning new things here. Another appearance in the Night Gallery by Tom Bosley as he plays Jackie's agent. Bosley also appeared in the segment Eyes, also directed by Spielberg, although this time he wasn't tortured with a merry-go-round. I also remember him as Sheriff Tupper on Murder, She Wrote. And Jackie Vernon plays the mystic granting miracles. He was the original voice of Frosty the Snowman in the Rankin Bass specials.
Happy birthday!
I wonder how confusing it got on set, having two Jackies, a character and an actor. Anyway, let's get into the story. Jackie Slater's life sucks right now. He's bombing at this already sketchy-ass club. The manager fires him. Damn, Al Lewis looks like Grandpa Munster even without the costume and makeup.
You are his agent, isn't that the idea?
16 years, Mr. Michigan.
And book him in the Air Force Museum. This guy doesn't tell jokes, he goes on bombing missions.
Then his agent of 16 years severs ties with him. When he's performing, it's actually funnier to watch what the members of the audience are doing. We got a man asleep, a woman frantically mixing her drinks, a man blowing cigarette smoke at a mechanical toy, and then this smug guy looks like he may be having a good time. As the scene goes on, you can see Jackie just increasingly become sweatier, either because he knows he's bombing or he's on antidepressants, or both. Backstage, he tells his agent that when he was a child, he was an obese, ugly kid who during camp the other kids would push off the dock, and they would hysterically laugh at him. That's when he decided he wanted to make people laugh for a living. Of course, he ends up giving the old, "I would give everything I got to make people laugh" speech. Next up, he's at the bar. This is where he actually finds out through the bartender that his loyal friend agent left him. That's when a man across the bar overhears his plight and comes to join him. He introduces himself as Chatterjee, a mystic in the business of miracles. I feel like this is a situation where we have a white man playing a character of South Asian descent. Interesting choice. He tells Jackie that he has a problem of his own. If he doesn't perform a miracle by midnight, he will lose his powers. And he is willing to help Jackie reach his full potential. But there is a catch. When it comes to gurus, he's not a great one. The miracles always go wrong. Really, during this whole scene, my brain is just processing this as Frosty the Snowman speaking big words. The eavesdropping bartender is funny though.
180,000 guys roaming the streets looking for a bomb. What do I get? The formaldehyde twins. Now for laughs, why don't you two guys go out in the park and get mugged, huh?
Preferable, decidedly preferable to what is in store for me. Death, certainly before dishonor.
Jackie doesn't care though. He wants to make people laugh. And Chatterjee makes it happen almost immediately. The whole place busting out in laughter over something so mundane coming out of Jackie's mouth. Jackie's having a grand old time at the bar. The guru already knowing this is going to go sideways fast. Next, we fast forward and Jackie is huge. I mean in celebrity status. Performing at every club, making appearances on every TV show, the ex-agent waiting for him in his luxury dressing room. However, Jackie is miserable. There's no satisfaction in making people laugh when they'll just laugh at everything you say and do. It's reminding him of the laughs he got when he was pushed off the dock as a kid. But he finds a letter that may change things around. A director is interested in him playing a straight dramatic role in his Broadway show. And Jackie believes this is his chance to try something new, to make people really feel, to go from comedian to actor. But the audition goes to hell because everyone just starts laughing uncontrollably as soon as he opens his mouth. His childhood trauma on full display, and I totally feel for the man. Although I have to admit that the way he said the line was pretty funny.
Sure, Rod. I'm a clown. A clown's supposed to look odd. A funny thing happened to me on the way to the big top. My life just got dissolved.
I also love the camera work during the audition. The way the camera is right in the director's face. The only person not laughing in the audience is Chatterjee, who meets Jackie outside. You can definitely tell Jackie is over everything because he's starring in a show called How to Stuff Bread Dressing. Jackie wants Chatterjee to fix his miracle, so instead of people laughing at him, he moves them, makes them cry. Chatterjee says it's been done, and Jackie wants to test it. He spots an old lady across the street with her flowers and shouts out at her, crossing the street while telling a joke.
Hey lady, did you hear the one about the two Arabs who met on a streetcar?
Why does the joke have to be about Arabs? And we know what happens, boys and girls and MBs, when we don't look both ways before crossing the street.
Well, the first Arab...
Also when we tell racist jokes. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be hit by a car, but I don't think it looks like that. Everyone gathers around Jackie's still body. Some cheerful band music is playing. I love a good juxtaposition. Chatterjee walks away saying something I can't hear regardless of audio source, and the old lady with her flowers is crying. The end. So here we got a be careful what you wish for story from the Night Gallery. An episode that seems out of place in a horror anthology. It doesn't reach the top of the tier like stories such as The Monkey's Paw or the 2026 indie horror blockbuster that is Obsession, but you know, it still touched me. I love the choice of having Godfrey Cambridge, a man who was funny as hell, play a character who has problems making people laugh. Serling was a fan of irony, and this is as ironic as it gets. To me, even when Jackie isn't supposed to be funny in the context of the world in which the segment takes place, he's actually funny because of Godfrey. It's a funny man playing a funny man who's not so funny. And that's funny. I'm funny. I was told I could be a comedian, just saying.
No, that's funny.
On the other hand, I don't believe Jackie Vernon was right for the role of Chatterjee. He didn't give me anything other than a nonchalant Frosty. I had the idea that they should have gotten rid of the South Asian descent thing if it weren't going to be done respectfully. Get rid of that turban. Write the character as a white man since they decided to cast a white man, and they should have seen if Carol O'Connor was available. He wouldn't have to pull an Archie Bunker or a Chief Gillespie. Just be a dude at the bar with his beer, contemplating his existence. I guess in a way that is Archie Bunker and Chief Gillespie. One of the things with Serling that I feel people look past is that Serling could write humor. I don't think you see a whole lot of that in this segment. I think the most is in the opening scene, but you do see more of his humor in the Twilight Zone, especially in an episode that immediately comes to mind for me called Kevender is Coming, Season 3, Episode 36, which stars the iconic Carol Burnett. That episode is funny. At the time, fans and critics hated it so bad that he wrote Carol Burnett an apology letter, but I think it's been better received over the years. Maybe. I think it was a sweet and sad touch with the childhood trauma edition. Maybe that's also a lesson, don't let bullies dictate your future. I actually loved the camera work in this segment. I was fully convinced it was Spielberg. I'm also convinced that if it weren't for the camera work, this segment would have been a little less entertaining. The pacing, mostly in the beginning, is a little slow, especially when Jackie is talking to his agent and when Frosty the Snowman is talking at the bar, but it does go a little quicker with more tension added because of the camera. Overall, when it comes to be careful what you wish for stories, which we know is a very common trope in storytelling, Make Me Laugh is an insightful version of the trope that I believe is still worth your time. Just don't go into it expecting a fright other than Grandpa Munster.
Our second painting this evening has to do with the stalker and the victim, the hunter and the hunted. That rare breed of Homo sapien whose love of butchery is not a sport but a consuming passion. Offered to you now, clean kills and other trophies.
The man in the portrait has a mustache, 10 out of 10 decision. Clean Kills and Other Trophies is another story written by Rod Serling. The segment was directed by Walter Doniger, whose most famous accolade is a 1950 Golden Globe nomination for Best Screenplay for the 1949 film Rope of Sand. For the characters of this segment, Colonel Archie Dittman is played by Raymond Massey, who's most known for films such as 1940's Abe Lincoln in Illinois, 1944's Arsenic and Old Lace, 1946's A Matter of Life and Death, and 1955's East of Eden. His son, Archie Jr., is played by Barry Brown, who played a trooper in the 1978 film Piranha. And Butler Tom is played by Herb Jefferson Jr., who was in 1978's Battlestar Galactica. The story begins with the Colonel showing his lawyer his trophy room. He's a hunter and he unnecessarily kills for his own pleasure, especially big game. Their heads mounted all over the walls. This fucker has no remorse for killing Bambi's mother. He immediately goes into one of a guy with toxic masculinity's favorite topics, being racist, as he talks about his butler Tom being quite a specimen and a pagan savage because he believes in black magic. He says that Tom is the only living thing he ever brought back from Africa, the only living trophy he has. The lawyer Pierce is there to discuss the Colonel's son's inheritance, a trust fund. Archie Jr. is not at all like his father. He doesn't believe in killing. I love the peace sign he wears on his blazer. The Colonel just drags his son, saying that his son would probably blow his money on sissy things, like humane causes and women's liberation. The Colonel decides that he's just not going to hand his money over to an unmanly coward. So he wants to add a stipulation to the inheritance, that his son must kill a deer with a gun within 15 days or else he forfeits the inheritance. The Colonel then continues to berate his son so badly that Junior just can't take it anymore and points a loaded gun right at his father. But Tom quickly takes the gun away from him. The lawyer tells Junior that he could sue his father for this and win, but Junior dismisses this and agrees to go on a deer hunt with his father the next morning. He believes his father is a prototypical 20th century man and that he's a whole lot closer to the norm than he'll ever be, which is so sad. Tom tells Pierce that he stayed with the Colonel for so long specifically for his son. The Colonel wants to give him his manhood, but he will strip him of that if he gives him a gun and makes him use it. Tom adding that the Colonel wants to add his son to his trophies of death. Later that night, there's a terrible thunderstorm, and the Colonel goes into his trophy room to find Tom praying to the fire in the fireplace. Tom tells the Colonel essentially what he told the lawyer, that he'd be stripping his son of his manhood if he makes him use a gun. He also tells him that back in Africa, they only killed for food and to live, but never for pleasure. The Colonel saying that the day that he no longer kills for pleasure is the day that his son can have everything he owns. He tells Tom that if he's praying to his gods, to pray that the rain breaks before dawn, so that the deer come out. But Tom tells him that that's not what he's praying for. The next morning, the Colonel is explaining to his son how to shoot the rifle and where to aim. What in the Elmer Fudd is this outfit? To Junior's displeasure, the Colonel spots a deer and tells him to get his rifle into position to fire. However, Junior is too hesitant for the Colonel's liking, and his father loses his patience with him. He starts screaming at him to shoot and pushes him as he fires. This causes the deer to be shot in the lungs, not a clean kill, and they will now have to track the deer for hours before finally finishing it off. Back home, Junior is so sad and depressed. His father's pissed. Maybe think about how you got into this position, old man. If you're so damn experienced, then maybe you should know not to shove someone with an active firearm. Just a thought. The Colonel goes into the trophy room with Tom. The Colonel begins to express that his head is getting warm, then hot, completely unbearable. He asks Tom to open a window, but Tom doesn't do a damn thing for him. Doesn't say a word. Tom then leaves the study and finds Pierce, who is looking for the Colonel as he's going to take his leave. He begs Tom to let Junior know that he wasn't the executioner of that deer. Tom tells him that the Colonel has been punished, properly and befitting the crime. Tom warns Pierce not to enter the trophy room, as sometimes the punishment is as ugly as the crime. Tom says that last night he prayed to the gods that the hunter should know what it is like to be the victim. Pierce enters the room and is shook at what he sees. We don't see what he's seeing, but the scary music cranks up and I'm here for it.
What did you pray for, Tom?
That the hunter should know what it is like to be the victim.
Tom tells him that his gods make vengeance and art and instructs Pierce to take Junior with him. Junior comes down the stairs doing the slow depression walk, which I'm very familiar with. Tom tells him to not worry about his father, for he's in good company, and he leaves with Pierce. The story ends with Tom re-entering the trophy room, and the camera pans up to reveal the latest trophy on the wall, the head of the Colonel. What in the absurdity? You know what? I dig it. Tom's right, it is ugly. Old man getting his comeuppance? Hell yeah. Remember, it wasn't the butler who did it. It was his gods. Serling always, when he has something to say, he finds a way to say it. And in this story, he spit on the concept of toxic masculinity with full force.
Men like you have toxic masculinity.
Society was evolving in the 60s and 70s when this story was written and aired, and this was a concept being challenged and discussed, and today we're still discussing it. Actually, you could argue that his original short story for this segment was even heavier. In his original story called Clean Kills, it was Archie Jr. who gets so upset by his father's cruelty that he kills him and pins his head to the wall. But producers thought that African voodoo would be more acceptable to audiences than American patricide. That ending would have also opened up way more of a philosophical question. For a man who doesn't believe in killing anything to then kill such a vile man, is he betraying himself and his beliefs or bringing more peace to the world? This story touches me because I feel for Junior. I'm also someone who doesn't believe in killing, especially exotic and endangered animals, and especially for pleasure. I don't understand the kicks people get from hurting and killing. I look at a small being like a bug and think, who is to say this little guy's life is insignificant compared to mine? I actually do get upset when I see someone kill or swat at a bug. The whole PSA to kill spotted lanternflies is not something I can accomplish. I know they hurt the trees, but I just can't. Massey was great in his role as the toxic, nasty white man colonel. Jefferson was great as Tom. The lawyer was played by Tom Troop, who had a huge TV career. I loved him in this. He had such a soothing, sympathetic voice. When it comes to Barry Brown as Junior, though, it had its ups and downs. There were moments with him that I empathized with. The tears in his eyes, the depression, the feeling of rejection when standing by your beliefs. How hard it is to do that, especially with family. But then there were moments with him, like when he's drinking alcohol so awkwardly and walking in the woods in such a clumsy manner, where I was like, really? It was possible to have Junior with opposing beliefs compared to his father, yet still not make him a klutz-like character. There are different ways to be strong. Also, that score that they had playing that reaches a crescendo when Pierce first discovers what happened to the Colonel, I loved that. This story actually had some horror and dread and tension to it. It felt more like it belonged in Night Gallery compared to the previous segment, Make Me Laugh, which felt more like it belonged in the Twilight Zone. And there we have it. 2 Rod Serling written segments in the same episode. How lucky we are to be alive. One, a be careful what you wish for tale of ironic laughter and lack thereof. And the other, a heavy-handed commentary about toxic masculinity ending with a cruel white man getting what he deserves. Learning revenge is best hung on a wall. But you've heard me speak. Now I want to hear from you. Please give me all your thoughts and questions about the episode in the comments down below. Let's keep this discussion going. I love reading what everybody posts down there, especially when it involves me learning something new. Like after the last episode of Perusing the Night Gallery, where the second story featured an actress named Rachel Roberts, who I loved, and I was informed about the incredibly sad way in which she died. I'm still processing that information. So don't forget to click on those like and subscribe buttons so you'll never miss a channel update from me. One day we'll get to the episode about Burl Ives murdering people, and you won't want to miss it. As always, thank you so much for joining me in Perusing the Night Gallery. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Until next time.
Sluts, sluts, all of you sluts!
That is not what I pray for.
And book him in the Air Force Museum. This guy doesn't tell jokes. He goes on bombing missions.